Okay, we're here in the Winebox garden. You can see things are going pretty well. I'm just going to talk really briefly about supports. So I've finally got all the plant supports in, so I'm just going to talk about those, just about what I use. There are all sorts of different things out there, of course, for supporting your plants. People swear by one thing or another, so I'm just going to show you some of the things that I put in and that I like to use for different reasons. So for things like eggplant, peppers, they grow pretty tall, but not tremendously tall like some tomato plants. So the kinds of supports that I've been using are these metal supports that are just like this. This is a bell pepper that's growing in there. And I put a little small thing here too, just to kind of give it a little extra support for now. Sometimes I like to do that because I can use some little ties to kind of keep it going straight up if I need to. And then these are ladders. So these I got from a garden supply company. And you can see that I used a lot of them this year. The reason I like these is they're compact, they're really sturdy, they can be reused from year to year. The tomato cages get a little bent out of shape sometimes. I still use those, but for something like this in a compact space, it also allows me to easily go through the garden path like this because they're not too bulky or big. So, you know, different tomato plants grow differently, so we'll see how these do because I grow different tomato plants every year. They typically will come with these little plastic supports here, so those can be used. I also use other things like Velcro, and I'll see an example of that in a moment. Some things don't need supports. A lot of root vegetables, they're fine on their own, so we don't have anything there. These are here, even though I don't know if I need them. I've never grown sunflowers before, so I'm not sure if they're going to be strong enough to stay up on their own, but I just put those there in case. The thing about supports is that you want to get them in place before the plants get big because, you know, they're in the ground growing their roots, and so if you start sticking things through the soil, you risk damaging those roots as well. So you'd really want to get those in as early as possible. So you'll see I have some eggplants there with the same supports as the peppers. So over here I did a couple of things, and these are more experiments. These are just these little green Viagrow rods, and you'll see where I use those with potatoes the way they're intended. But, you know, I know with cucumbers, I've never had a whole lot of luck growing cucumbers, but they vine, you know, they're viney plants, so they like to grab hold. They have these little tendrils that come out and they grab hold of things to keep them supported. So I wanted to ensure that I had something there. We'll see how these grow, if this one grows. This is my little cucumber that, I don't know if it's really gonna make it, but that's what I did with that. This is sort of a weird experiment too. These are yellow squash that I'm growing in containers, and I have tomato cages on there. But I thought, you know, I think they're gonna need a little bit more support in between these, so I put these on. It looks like a giant spider web. It looks ridiculous, but I'm hoping it'll work well because I'm gonna, you know, when you grow things like squash in a small space, you learn to kind of trellis them a little bit. So I'm gonna see if I can sort of trellis them here, meaning giving them the support they need, and I'll have to secure it along the way, but we'll see how that goes. These ladders are not here for support. They're here to protect from the basketball that flies into the garden sometimes from next door. So same thing here with a cucumber. And then over here, these plastic chairs are also for support to keep the basketball out. There's a cucumber and some beans. And I put these bamboo things, and I just sort of tied them at the top. Kind of made a little teepee. Again, they all like to vine. I don't know if vine is a verb, but they like to, you know, grab a hold of things. And so this will give them things to climb up, and that's what they need. Tomato cages here, just sort of traditionally used, and I put, just to keep the plants straight, same thing here. I just put one of those little green supports here, you can see. They're like, they can kind of grab hold of those in there. Really easy to find. Now this trellis, again, this is zucchini. I've got some more yellow squash in the other bed, but I'm going to train them to go up instead of out because squash just gets really big. The leaves get big, the fruit gets big, and they broaden. They tend to be very broad spaces that they need. So I'm going to learn to trellis a little bit this year. Every year is something new. So over here is sort of a weird mishmash of things. over here is a weird mishmash, right? So these A-frames are good for things like cucumbers and peas. I just have a whole lot of cucumbers in here, which I'm probably going to have to thin out. But I put some cucumber plants down there that are doing pretty well. And then I've got something in between, this black one here in between for the peas that are down below. So those, again, like to grab things. And then over here, I have some bean towers. This is something I'm trying new this year, but they're very tall cages, as you can see here, right? So these actually are in 2 parts, and I just put this one on top of the other. But again, these are starting to grow, and something was eating the leaves, so I sprayed some neem oil on those yesterday, so we'll see how that goes. But they're, you know, going to kind of attach themselves to the vine and to the box trellis, and hopefully grow really well. So that's that. And last but not least are the potatoes. So these green sticks here, really adjustable, right? You can just kind of pop these out, put them back on. The potatoes grow fast, so I needed to get these in here now, because as you can see, like this one over here is pretty tall already, and it's going to need some support. Without the support, they're just going to flop all over because they get tall. They'll get, you know, probably even taller than these supports are, or somewhere around there. So that's a lot of different kinds of supports that I use. Not really sure if they're all perfect, but they do the trick. Signing off for the Wine Box Gardener.